Welcome to another episode of Two Brothers, Same Mother. Of course, you got Sheik along with AJ. Very important that we recap the open practice that we were at Sunday.
Yeah. It was quite interesting.
Should we be concerned that the Eagles' timing is off? I mean, timing of passes have been off. Timing of when they thought rain was going to come is off. You know,
y'all need to blame Schwartz for that one. Hurricane Schwartz or whatever his name is.
Don't blame Glenn Schwartz. He ain't nothing to do with it. Shout out to Central High, Philadelphia.
That's his fault.
Where's John Blaris at? Blame him. Anyway,
right.
So there was no open practice, but we did see a debacle of a NFL preseason game for various reasons. We're not really going to recap the Patriots game just because I don't know if we learned a whole lot beyond, our backups. If we lose a few starters on offense or defense, like we need to do what we had to do last year, I think the team's in trouble. Would you agree?
I mean, that's any team though, right? So there's a reason why there's guys in starters, right? There are starters, and then there's guys like literally our top 5 defensive linemen didn't play a snap in that game. Bill Belichick just shows why he's a JO. So he continued to play all his starters on both sides of the ball until the first half.
Yeah, it's this old school. I want to do what I do, and you can suck a pin.
But when it was ones versus ones in practice, like they couldn't do shit. So
Alex Singleton looks good, man. I mean, a guy who couldn't find his way on an NFL roster 2 years ago. It's looking really nice. Would you agree?
Yeah, I like Alex Singleton. He has a nose for the ball. And I think next to Eric Wilson, I think he'll really, really good because you can't, you know what I mean? Like last year, he's not a middle linebacker, so he's not supposed to be the Mike. So having somebody that's a Mike, like a true Mike, like Wilson, then I think he's really going to flourish.
But let me ask you, and this is just a football question. Do you feel that a lot of NFL defenses, for the most part, play with a true Mike? So I feel like that's kind of disappearing.
Well, no, so
like I look at Baltimore definitely does, but
what I'm saying, and Baltimore continuously has a top 5 defense.
Agreed.
And what I mean, I'm not talking about like the true run stopping Mikes. Like the Mikes now, they're a little bit more athletic, but Alex Singleton's still light in the ass compared to what a true Mike would be. And that's what I mean by that. Like he's still like Eric Wilson is a true Mike. Like if you want to see what the true Mike is, look at Eric Wilson. And if you want to look at a throwback, look at Edwards, TJ Edwards on our team. TJ Edwards would be a middle linebacker for how the game was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was just interesting. I will say I feel a lot more comfortable with Alex Singleton than I ever did with Nate Garrett.
Oh, God. But also, I mean, once again, like, I'm better than Nate Garrett, and I never played that position.
He was leading the team in tackles. The problem was it was 15 yards down the field.
That dude.
But, White Snake.
White Snake.
Is there anyone else that really stuck out to you during that? I'm saying positively. We'll talk negative as well. There's a lot of negative, but positively, is there someone else that stuck out to you that you're like, during that Patriots game?
I liked Gainwell. When I saw the Gainwell, the rookie.
Gainwell looks good. And Gainwell, it's funny because you think everybody thought he was going to be like Darren Sproles. He's more like Jordan Howard with better hands.
Yeah, he's like a mix between Jordan Howard and Sanders. Like he's like shifty like Sanders, but with the
Miles hands. Sanders, not Barry.
Miles Sanders,
easy with the hype train.
No. And actually, you know what? I'm wrong. It's not Sanders. It's Miles Sanders. It's a mix between Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. He has like almost like the strength, like this type of running style as a Howard, but like you said, the hands of Boston Scott.
Now I will say, as far as the negative side of things, I think any team would be in trouble if you have to start your backup for a few games for the most part. But the thought was if Flacco had to start 3 games, we're going to be competitive. I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
I do, because once again, we had one starting offensive lineman.
True.
I want you to understand, like, people don't understand. Joe Flacco is 6'6.5", and Herbig still was able to snap the ball over his head.
No, I get that.
But you get what, so that's why I kind of.
I think this is more of a deeper question, because Flacco, although his stats didn't look awful, did not look good, especially with some key points with some of his decision making. But the fact that the Patriots were playing their starters and doing blitzes and doing some JO stuff, as you mentioned, which they were just running their defense. It is what it, but they were trying to run in midseason form.
Right.
Do you think that maybe affected Flacco's, even though he is a veteran, maybe some of his decision making was off because of that? Because he knew, if I don't get the ball out of my hands in 2 seconds, I'm getting killed. I know it wouldn't me, but I'm not an NFL professional.
Yeah, so the thing with Flacco in Baltimore was always, even in this height, he doesn't get rid of the ball fast enough. So this dude with that offensive line, he's like, and the simple fact that the dude's pushing like 40, like, yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna get killed. I'm messing with y'all.
One more person I can't believe, and that's because we were thinking a little deeper, that I just want to touch on. Just, it's obvious, but the rave reviews after kind of a rough 1 or 2 passes of Devontae Smith, how he gets off the ball. Would you say it's okay to be excited about Devontae Smith? Like, really excited?
No, absolutely. Because like you said, it's not just about catches. It's about, like, and they were trying to press coverage on him. Like, you get what I'm saying? And they weren't getting no hands on him. And supposedly, which we'll get to throughout this thing, is some of the reports from Jets camp, it's continued on. Like, they're trying to play press coverage and everything else, and they just can't get their hands on him. When you see a guy like Chad Johnson getting really, really excited about, like, how he's moving his feet and getting out of breaks and stuff like that, that's.
And I don't know, for some of our younger viewers, or maybe there's people our age who just forget, that was Chad Johnson's thing. His feet are what made him so great, and how quickly he got off the ball. That's why he was able to, he played professional soccer for a little bit after he retired. Like that, right. But that was his secret sauce. He wasn't super big. He didn't have the best hands, although he worked on it to be very reliable. It was his feet, how quickly he got off. So to get a compliment like that would be like Barry Sanders complimenting your shiftiness.
You're right. Exactly.
We just want to mention Barry throughout this whole episode.
Yeah.
Just
to go.
But it looks like Jalen Hurts isn't going to play in the Jets game. He got a lot of good practice time with the Patriots. He's getting a lot of good practice time with the Jets starters. Now, we're just fans, so obviously we want to see him. But should there be any concern that he might only end the preseason with just 2 series? And essentially, it's his first time going into the season as a starter. He's not a veteran. It's not, he's 5-6 years in. It's his second year. He only played 4 games last year. Should we be concerned, or is it one of those, hey, and Nick, we trust?
I'm on the fence with it, because they've had 2. They've actually had 2 joint practices. In the past, there's always normally 1. They've had 2 joint practices. They had like live scrimmages there, like officials there. Just it wasn't televised. So that helps. But at the same time, like you said, like, my concern is that, yeah, it's week 3 of the preseason, but they didn't get rid of week 1. Like, when they narrowed it down, they got rid of the 4th preseason game. So now it's going to be 16 days from, from that preseason. So that is a little concerning. But it's almost like an Nick we trust thing, because, like you said, like I said, they've had 2 open practices against 2 other teams, and he's played a lot. Like, and they've done a lot, 11 versus 11. So.
Well, here's my concern, and tell me if I'm looking too much into it. Jalen Hurts is a young QB, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would say, at least in a very small sample size than what I see in college, he actually is more even killed than Carson was. A little bit more excitable than Nick Foles was. I'm just thinking about people who started for us over the past few years. But it's one thing to be doing stuff against another team in a practice. It's another thing when you're playing against another team and there's fans literally there who are cheering and booing and because that just pumps up your excitement. Any sport, anything you do. Do you think that he might be a little too hyped come those first couple games because he's not getting used to playing in front of a crowd, or is that just way overblown?
That's way overblown. He played for Alabama.
It's not the NFL, though.
Yeah, exactly. There's 30 more thousand people in the stands in college. Those stadiums are 80, 90,000, 100,000 stadiums where NFL stadiums are 60,000 people.
We are not playing West Virginia.
It doesn't matter. It's Alabama. Alabama could probably beat half of the NFL teams. He played at Alabama.
I disagree, man. I mean,
no, you're tripping. You're tripping. That's looking way too much into it.
And like I said,
regardless if it's college or not, 100,000 screaming fans compared to 60,000 screaming fans, it's screaming people.
You also half your team gonna get drafted by the NFL. Like the talent level,
and your whole team is in the NFL. But
you're playing against other people who are in the NFL too. Like,
but what I'm not saying is
sure.
Is he going to be too overhyped? It's not. He's playing in over 100,000 people. Regardless, 100,000 people. More pressure. He's in the NFL now. He knows there's no competition. He's trying to get to NFL. He's trying to impress NFL coaches and stuff and GMs to draft him in front of 100,000 people. That is more pressure. Then you get benched. Then you come back in the national championship game and help that team win after you get benched. Then turn around, get benched again, go to another school, beat them out. It's another big school. You know, this kid has been in a most pressure situation, probably more than outside the Super Bowl. Like, just think, this kid.
It ain't good. Philly, though. I don't care. It ain't Philly. But very good points. I've seen, and I brought this up because there was something interesting too. Like, listen, when you're on another level, and it happens to the best people. It's happened to Aaron Rodgers in year 13. So we get a little too overhyped. It's a little different because I would say my only concern is that if Jalen Hurts is overhyped, Nick Sirianni's going to look like he's had 10 cups of coffee because I feel like he's going to be jumping all over the place too. It's just maybe Jalen Hurts is the calming factor. Do you think that there's someone on this team that if people did get a little too excited can turn around and be like, yo, calm it down? Or is that Hurts? Is that Hurts already?
That offensive line. As young as we are at receiver, running back, quarterback, even in the defensive line outside of two veterans, right? Because Hargraves is still kind of a younger player. He's only like 5 years in. So that's what I like. And this is one of those, and Nick, we trusting. If your quarterback, remember Carson used to be like that, man. We'd be watching, we'd be like, whoa, calm down, Carson.
I have Wentz PTSD. So
right, I got you. So, but and I've said this before, like, the difference between Sirianni and Peterson was that Sirianni's the actual true ball coach. Like, he is a football coach. And he looks at, if he saw him and saw some of the ball sailing in his foot, he's quick. I think he's quick to be like, all right, fellas, let's run the ball a little bit here. Let's get his nerves settled. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the offensive line has that too. That is a very veteran offensive line.
Okay. You mentioned something about receivers. That's the question. It's a milk carton kind of thing. It's muscle milk, but still a milk carton. And I think on the back, you can't see it. There's a picture of Travis Fulgham. Where the hell's he been? Like, there's reports that he actually has an attitude too. Now, I don't trust reports. We haven't heard him say like that. But I'll just come out and say, is there a possibility this guy might get cut?
So, and I've been waiting to talk about this because I wanted to talk about it when we went up to Philly and we had the cheese. But then I was like, no, I'm just going to save it for the show. It's this Travis Fulgham thing. Travis Fulgham apparently is a mental midget. He was doing last year. He was doing great. Alshon came back, and they literally said that it got to him mentally. He openly came out and said it got to him. Then you mix in that he had an ankle injury, right? Then this year he came in like he was almost predetermined to be one of the starting outside receivers. Predetermined. He was actually almost given that. And then the first week or so, he was doing okay. He was doing good. And then all of a sudden, all the hype with Quez Watkins came. Then all of a sudden, this kid disappears because he checked out mentally. He saw that there were some dudes that were competing, and then came back. Devontae, he started doing this thing. Rieger started getting a little better at practice, and now all of a sudden, this dude disappears. Because and I was watching Inside the Birds, and they were talking about it at practice. Like all of a sudden, his body language just changed, all this stuff. And now, because now a certain somebody had a tackle on special teams 2 weeks in a row, may make this team that we didn't think that was going to make it. Your favorite Stanford receiver of all time, J-Jaw, because now because Fulgham is falling down the depth chart so bad. So now you're looking at your receivers. I'm not saying he's going to be a primary receiver, but you're looking at Devontae, you're looking at Rieger, Quez, G-Ward is G-Ward, and they're going to probably only keep 5, and that 5th one is J-Jaw. Now, if Hightower didn't get hurt and missed those 2 weeks, I would say Hightower, but I think J-Jaw is going to end up being your 5th receiver on this team just because he's decided to play special teams.
Bro.
This dude has 9 lives, bro. But
first and foremost, my favorite receiver from Stanford is Ed McCaffrey. But there might be some guys playing for Stanford now I like more than JJ. But that's such a shame. You're going to get beat out because you're not playing special teams. You can't return kicks, and your attitude. When you've been struggling for so long, like it's almost the anti-Alex Singleton.
It's almost the anti-Greg Ward.
Right. Another good example. Yeah. It's just a shame.
Yeah. You got talent. It's just, you just mentally you see, you know what I mean? Instead of raising your crowd, you kind of shut down.
So just real quick, looks like you're not going to see a lot of, we don't know for a fact, looks like Friday, not going to see a lot of starters in the Jets game. What do you want to be looking for? Who are you looking at?
I'm looking at some of those young receivers we just talked about. I want to see some of these defensive linemen, Milton Williamson. And you know who else I want to see needs a bounce back? And I know it's whatever, just to build his confidence back is some Zach McPherson, man. He was getting torched, man.
Yeah, they targeted him hardcore.
Yeah, he was getting torched heavy. And I want to see if Kayvon can actually play a whole game without hurting his groin.
Yeah, I mean, Milton Williams, I want to make sure that.
Yeah, and that was him too. Yeah.
Well, that's who you were talking about. You said Milton Williamson, right?
Milton Williams, yeah. I didn't mean Williamson. Williams, yeah.
You've done that a few weeks, and I've had to check and make sure I got the name right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing, because if there was going to be a quote-unquote surprise cut, it would probably be Fulgham at this point, right? Assuming, the only other, and wouldn't even be surprised if Ertz got traded. But that's the only other person I could think would be a surprise cut, and I don't know why they would do it while they were Ravens. Is for some reason they got rid of Jordan Howard, which I don't see happening, especially now with Kerryon Johnson going.
Yeah. The only other thing maybe that might be a surprise, it'd be a surprise but won't be a surprise, is if they ended up cutting or trading Andre Dillard because of the tackle they got from the Colts.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few.
What was his name? Frank Clark? His name Frank Clark or something?
Frank Clark was the defensive tackle, but I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. We actually want to go through a couple cuts of someone being drafted in the first round and a couple of years later being cut, although that would be a huge failure. But I'm curious. I also want to see, I would like to see something a little better from Flacco. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I would like to see, even if it's, hey, we run the ball a little more or audible or something. I mean, it was just so bad to watch. And I understand it's not going to affect anything on the long run, but, you want to be entertained a little bit. It was just bad. So yeah. I will say this. If you had to choose, I guess, one person that would be a quote-unquote surprise cut, and that's not to be a huge surprise. A guy that you're like, I'm surprised he didn't make the team. Who would it be?
I'll probably piggyback off what you said. Probably somebody that I thought was going to make a big impact on that be Fogle.
You know what?
I'm to the point that I'm not surprised, but I would be surprised if that makes sense.
I wonder if Elijah Holyfield has another big game. He had a pretty decent game against the Patriots. And when I say big game, I mean big. Granted, it's against backups, but Elijah Holyfield rushed for like 75 yards and had a few catches. If they wonder if they need to find a roster spot for him as opposed to Howard or Boston Scott.
No, absolutely not.
That would be the biggest surprise for me if something like that happened.
That would be.
See that happen.
That would be. I don't need that. Would that'd be like, damn, y'all really giving up?
Run by Holyfield, finish it. Yeah.
I think Fogle too. I think Hightower.
It's a shame.
Hightower.
Yeah, I think Hightower's going to get cut. I think Hightower they'll put back on the practice squad because he has the eligibility to play on the practice squad, and I think they will because I personally think with everything the way everything transpired with Fogle and everything, if he would have stayed healthy, J. John still wouldn't have had a chance to make this team, and he is the fifth receiver on this team.
Right.
I believe that.
Because I looked at some of the just notable cuts outside of Tim Tebow around the NFL. So I kind of want to get into the NFL stuff. Granted, They haven't made any major cuts around the NFL yet. They haven't trimmed down to 53. They're trimmed down to 80, I think?
Yeah, they're down to 80, yes. So
notable cuts. Taco Charlton, who was a first-round pick of the Cowboys just a few years ago.
Yeah, but he was trash. Remember, we picked him up, and he played like 2 games, and we cut him.
Yeah, I'm not saying these are people we need to pick up. I'm just pointing it out.
Right.
Some familiar faces, Will Parks and Rasul Douglas. And
I saw the Raiders cut Rasul Douglas.
And a guy that we wanted to get drafted got cut. Paris Ford, safety out of Pitt. Got cut by the Rams. And the Rams have a bunch of decent safeties. It just looks like they don't need, but just got out and out cut. You could talk about those guys too, but is there any position that you could see us trying to fill a void bearing injury that's with a player that's not on the roster right now?
The only thing I could see them maybe would be maybe receiver.
You just went on a big rant about receiver last week. We don't need any more receiver.
No. I'm not saying we do, but I'm saying you said, could I see them doing that?
Yeah.
And I'm not agreeing with that. But if you break it all down, like we're deep everywhere, and that's the only spot to where we're so young. I don't want it to happen. I want them to stick with the young receivers, see what you got. It's not time for that. You do that next year. If you see these receivers, this ain't it. All right, let's get that veteran receiver in here. Boom, boom, boom. But I just think that's where I think if they were to go anywhere with that, maybe. I don't know.
Speaking of receiver, everybody, you want to see AJ get mad? He's probably a little upset here. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No.
Robbie Anderson, $29.5 million extension, $20 million of it guaranteed. Did the Eagles make a mistake not signing him last year?
That was just, man, wow.
Shout out to a Temple guy getting his money. But I saw that.
Yeah,
and understand, like, he's in the middle of a contract. He signed a 2-year deal. They had him on the cheap, and they were like, nah, we want to lock you up now for another 2 years.
Yeah, I would too. Here's somebody, which I think it was funny. It was just an article somebody put out there talking about notable free agents, right? This upcoming year after the season. And it was like Jordan Mailata. I'm like, listen, Jordan Mailata ain't going to hit free agency. I don't even know why a Philly beat writer would write that. Like, he's not going to make it free agency. So
right.
That's just insane. That's just funny to me. He's like, oh, Jordan Mailata will be one of the most sought after free agents. What? No.
Why would he do that? Yeah,
he's not even. He's going to get an extension sometime this year. I'm still surprised Ertz is on this team, man.
So am I. I mean, by the way, I just want to try something real quick just to mess around.
Oh, sure.
Oh, your background's a little too busy. Oh, there we go.
Ah.
Wow. Okay.
We're good.
Yeah, you're way behind on your on your audio. So let me just get back to gallery view.
All right.
But just playing around. Anyway, that's what preseason's for, right?
Right.
Yeah, Mailata is not going anywhere. I do want to bring up something else. Two guys that were considered to be top talents. Jamar Chase and Penny Sewell. Struggling.
Is Penny Sewell struggling? I haven't heard it. I know Chase with the drops.
Well, here's the problem with Penny Sewell, and it's more the Lions because he went to the Lions and they're doing Lion things. Shout out to Barry Sanders. They drafted Penny Sewell, a left tackle, a guy who played left tackle all 4 years of college, and then immediately moved him to right. So
the ankles must be better on that side of the line.
Well, the thing is that
was it their biting kneecaps or biting ankles? What was it?
Biting kneecaps.
Kneecaps, that's what it is.
So he might not even start. He's been struggling that much. Jamar Chase, his first action had 3 targets, 3 drops, which, hey, it happens. But turns out that he has a huge case of the drops in joint practices and, and I'll throw one more person out there. It was assumed that Trevor Lawrence was just going to be hand the reins and start in Jacksonville, but apparently there's actually a good shot that Gardner Minshew starts game 1.
I heard that Gardner Minshew's getting ready to ask for a trade.
Well, that's the thing, because he's performing well, and he's like, the thing is that Minshew, where you going to go? The only place Minshew I can see going is Indy, because that quarterback situation, if Wentz don't start, looks awful.
Here's the thing with Wentz. I want to know who's Indy's medical staff, because if he was still here in Philly, he wouldn't be available till November.
He wouldn't be available till 2022.
My man out here already. My man's already out here doing the 707s. He just had surgery 2 weeks ago. I heard doing 707s.
It's that Midwestern air, I guess.
That maybe, or if it's just a team with a legit medical staff.
But yeah, one thing I did want to point out: Jamar Chase and Penny Sewell both opted out of COVID, or opted out of the season because of COVID, and have high expectations. Now, Kenny Gainwell did as well. It doesn't seem to be affecting him. But do you think that these guys that were drafted in the first round that opted out, it's going to take them longer to get going, or is it just, they got nothing to do with that?
I think it might take him longer to get going. And Gainwell, there's a lot less pressure on him. I mean, he's third, maybe even arguably the 4th running back on this team. So there's not a whole lot. He's going to make it. He's just able to take his time, where Jamar Chase and them is like, that expectation is like, yo, we gave Burrow a receiver now. You know what I'm saying? Now it's expected, like boom, boom. And then same thing, Penny Sewell, you're expected to get thrown in there. Now, once again, in Penny Sewell's case, them putting him at right tackle is a disservice to the reason why you drafted him. So,
right. By the way, very random. I didn't realize Larry Fitzgerald was a free agent.
Larry. I thought he was still on the team until like a month ago when he came out and said he's not sure if he's going to play or not.
Right. I was like, what? Like, how?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I have no room to talk, being that I watched the Eagles in the 2000s with Joe Banner, but if that man wants to play, you let him play. You find a spot for him for what he's done for Arizona. I'm sorry.
No, he's the one that's saying he doesn't want to play.
Well, he's not on the team.
I know, because they offered him a 1-year contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said he's not sure if he wants to play. Got
you. I thought they pushed him out. That's why I was like, yo.
No. He's still on the, like, I don't know. He said he just doesn't feel it. Like, he just doesn't have that.
Listen, me and you, granted, we're not NFL players, but we feel it when you start smelling the fresh cut fall grass.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So if you're not feeling it and you're a professional, you might want to sit out. Yeah. He don't need the money. He's good.
Yeah.
So let's get to the 5-pack of questions.
All right.
Speaking of popular people, if you had to buy a jersey of a current NFL player that wasn't on the Eagles, who would it be?
maybe could never go wrong with rocking a Watt jersey, either TJ or JJ.
Okay.
I like both guys. They are.
See, I used to really like the Steelers until I started traveling out to Pittsburgh. You guys just hate us, and I don't know why. Like, what we do to you? You know what I would like, man? A powder blue Justin Herbert jersey. If I was going to buy something,
Herbert.
I think it's weird. I've never seen a guy who half of the reports say that he's going to have a horrible year, and the other half say he's going to be the MVP race. There's no in between. Like, it's just weird.
I thought you were going to say a powder blue Houston Oilers Deshaun Watson jersey.
Right. Blue like the same color blue as a police officer shirt. Yeah, exactly. I was going to go with some bad jokes, and I'm going to leave it alone. I saw one of those late night commercials. They were advertising that Deshaun Watson massage oil from AdamandEve.com. That's all.
Oh man!
But threw me off all my questions that I had. Goddamn Deshaun Watson. Name an article. So if you had to choose a fictional sports figures jersey, because they've actually, that's the one thing that's becoming a little bit more popular now is, jerseys in movies. Who would it be?
Pokai. Al.
I do have the Al Bundy t-shirt. I haven't seen the jersey.
The Pokai. There's a couple of Shane Falco.
For the replacements?
Hell yeah. I'd rock me a Shane Falco. Wait, what? All day, shorty.
I need me the ULSU Mud Dogs Bobby Boucher.
Oh yeah, you'd have to get the Bobby. I was getting ready to say Bobby Boucher. They're probably about 3 in that order.
It's really been popular, and I've seen it more and more from Hardball, the G Baby jersey.
Oh yeah. Oh, another one. Adam Sandler's jersey from the Green Machine jersey. I forget his name in Crew, Paul Crew. Hit me a Paul Crew, cuz. A Green Machine or whatever it's called.
Green Machine? I don't know what movie you're talking about.
It was something Mean Machine or something. Mean Machine or something. That's what they called themselves, isn't it? Wasn't like the Mean Machine.
What movie are you talking about?
Longest Yard.
Nah, man, I'm doing the Burt Reynolds Longest Yard jersey. I'm doing that movie. Don't exist, yo.
Nah, I like that movie. I like the.
Man, he's throwing up for yardage against Nelly. I ain't trying to hear that.
A white man runs the ball. I think I made this shit itself.
I will say, it's funny because
love that movie.
You don't see too many current basketball ones or current baseball ones or current hockey ones, but there always seems to be a imaginary sports story about somebody with football.
Right. Another one, since you said basketball, I'd get me a Coney Island Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, you're not going to get your Flint Tropics Jackie Moon.
Yo, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I actually still have the warm-up suit. The warm-up suit with the wig.
Oh, yeah. Yo, yeah. Definitely. Willie Mays Hayes baseball.
Willie Mays Hayes would be. Actually, I would like. I can't think of his name now. My man.
Vaughn?
What's that? Vaughn jersey.
Yeah.
Especially since the Indians are changing their names to the Guardians next year. So.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the fall, it's big for media, TV, movies, stuff like that. But it's also kind of big for video games. Can you name the video game that got you hooked on wanting to play video games?
Video games in general?
Yeah, like the first video game you played where you were like, oh, this is dope. Like, I want to, play more video games.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man?
You forget, my first video game system was ColecoVision, bro.
Right. Well, that's why I
I go back, shorty.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because, for me.
Actually, sorry, real quick. It was Pac-Man and Pitfall. I used to really like Pitfall.
I know for me, like, as far as at-home video games, Super Mario Brothers. But
okay,
granted, we were old enough to remember arcades, and they had the little arcade machines when you went to the movies and stuff. So, if I had to say, the first one would be, oh man, it's not Gunstar Heroes, Sunset Riders. That was a cowboy game where you play as two cowboys. And you would be, shooting up bad guys. It was like kind of a running gun thing. They used to be in the movie theaters all the time. It'd be that or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, one or the other.
Yeah.
But, I was just interested. I was just looking. I was like, I wonder. I saw that question be posed to, on another website. And I was like, no. Because our generational gap is a little different when it comes to video game stuff.
Yeah.
Is there beyond... Or I will say, if you could create a playoff matchup between two teams that were not in the semifinals last year, so no Cleveland, no Tampa Bay, no Kansas City, no Buffalo, no Baltimore. So out of those 8 teams, I didn't mention all the ones in the NFC, no Green Bay. If you could pick up a playoff matchup that you would love to see, who would it be?
I mean, I would want to see 2 playoff caliber teams. You just said no to all the playoff caliber teams.
No, I mean, you think about it. So, like, the playoff teams that would still be available: Bears, Saints, Washington in the NFC, and then in the AFC would have been what? The Colts, the Steelers, and I'm trying to think what other team made it. My point is that are there 2 teams that are not out of the usual suspects that you would love to see a matchup against each other? Prime example, for, shootout purposes. I would really like to see, Arizona against the Rams. If the Rams are as good as I think they're going to be with Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I think the Rams. Even though I was hard on them, as the more I'm seeing stuff about them, I think
if you took almost all their players and put them on a different team, I'd say the Cowboys. But I don't want to see the Cowboys in the playoffs ever. So
ever, yeah, I'd have yelled at you for that one.
Or I think it would be interesting if Jamar Chase gets his act together and the Chargers defense gets their act together. If we saw a first round matchup between the Chargers and Bengals, just Herbert and I forgot Bengals starting quarterback Burrow, yeah.
To me, even though they're in 2 different conferences, a fun one would be just like you said, that like you talk about shootouts, just all kinds of defensive coordinators getting fired would be the Chargers and the Cardinals.
Well, you know what? If the Eagles hit on all cylinders, I like the way it went last year. To see a round 2 between Cardinals,
Eagles and Cardinals. Yeah, that was definitely that was a fun game.
Yeah,
I'll say Eagles Cardinals. I'll go with Eagles Cardinals.
Okay, and our final question: beyond football, what do you look forward to?
Shut the door, please. Talking to your nephew, AJ. Shut the door. The front door. The big. Oh my goodness. This nigga shut the fucking screen door. Anyway, sorry.
Beyond football, what do you look forward to the most during the fall?
Beyond football, the weather. Period. Just the weather.
It's crazy. I think we talked about this before. Summer used to be my favorite time of year. Then about 4 or 5 years ago, it switched to fall. Like literally from Labor Day to Thanksgiving is just the best.
Yeah, like to me, like even growing up, like the only reason summer was good is because you got summer vacation, right? You didn't have to go to school. But as weather-wise, even as a little kid, it was always spring. But then it always seemed like the older we get, like it used to actually seem like when I was a kid that we actually had spring. Like it was like 65 to 75 degrees for like a couple months. And then it started getting really hot until freaking the end of June. Like you get what I'm saying? Now it's like
now we get 2 weeks
in May.
of spring.
It's
well, this year
90.
we had a legit spring where I feel like for 2 months we had that springtime weather where, you know, if you wake up early in the morning, it's 42 degrees, but by like 2 o'clock, it's like maybe 60.
70. Yeah.
Or 65, 70. Yeah. Like,
but about 10 years ago, about 15 years ago, I kind of, it's just the smell in the air. There's that wood burning smell in the air.
Well, especially I think where we live too. The weather, like, you know, me moving out to the burbs, and you see a lot of people with fire pits, and just I just love everything about fall now. You know,
just the weather overall, like football, the weather, everything just about it. Like, you know what I mean? You still got to cut grass, but you're not like fucking catch a heat stroke and shit. Like this is
right. It's weird. Fall yard work seems to be way more enjoyable than what you do in the summer or even in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, raking leaves, it might be a pain in the butt, but it don't feel nearly as bad because of the weather.
Don't feel like you're getting ready to have a heat stroke. You know what I mean?
Not to mention, you know, I'm a fan of all fall time brews and liquor and food and all that stuff.
So. Food, yes.
But well, you know, I love a good Oktoberfest and I like my bourbon. So. All right. Well, that was our Fast Five there. We're going to put our 5-pack of questions up on social media as well. So that way, if you got any answers for this after you watch this, put it on our social media post. We'll be happy to kind of shout you out on what you thought as well. And just looking forward to seeing what happens Friday, and really, really looking forward to just the regular season starting. Any other parting notes before we end the show?
Yo, wrestling is back. Yo, I am a huge wrestling fan. So is Sheik here. We love wrestling, and it's been bad. Like, even like the first couple weeks of the fans coming back, it's been bad. I probably last week between even the previous Monday Night Raw, so from Monday to Sunday night, last week was probably the most fun I've had watching wrestling in a long time. And I've watched 2 different companies. I watched different things, even actually 3, because I watched a little bit of TNA last week, and then watching Christian Cage win the NWA and TNA world titles. So from oh God, what is his name? He's also still the AEW champ too. Help me help you. From the Elite.
Bullet Club, yeah.
Yeah, but he's also the Elite. I can't remember his name. Omega, Kenny Omega. Yeah. He beat Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega still has the AEW. But just everything with CM Punk coming back, Goldberg coming back, Becky Lynch making a surprise comeback, and Edge coming out to the old Brood thing was like freaking nostalgia times, you know what I mean? But my nostalgia level was up to 100. So everything was just fun. It was just fun. Wrestling is back.
So I will say it's the stuff that's going to be happening in the fall with wrestling, as far as with the Survivor Series and what AEW is about to release. Speaking of video games, a wrestling game. The first time that a non-WWE wrestling game will come out in a long time. You know, so there is a lot of hype behind what's going on. And then
there's also the pay-per-view, the All-In pay-per-view too from AEW.
Right. It's just nice. It's nice to have some stuff come back that's going to be a little bit more regular. You know, so all right, y'all. Look for us. Don't forget, like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on podcast, and check us out on Two Brothers Same Mother on Facebook. We have our personal Twitters as well that you can check out as well. Mine's is Sheik Styles. Yours is AJG233. And beyond that, stay safe.
Yep. Peace.